budget. So first, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining. Can you tell us what is your expectation from the budget in terms of education? Also, can you introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so I'm Nipun and I'm a student of St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. So regarding the view of education, if I divide higher education and primary education, both the allocations, even in primary and higher education funds, they are very low. As per the NEP, if I can remember it, it's 6%, and now it's like somewhere around 4%, which is way too low the margin. And secondly, I would say the issue of quality education, there are no regular audits, especially by CAG, which should be done. So I think there should be some mechanism of internal quality assessments or even external quality assessment for how the education is being implemented and how much inclusive it is.
All right, thank you for your insights. Next, I'm coming to a person who seeks education in terms of disability, for the disability children as well as all the people. So thank you so much, sir. Can you tell us what do you expect from the government in terms of education from the budget?
थैंक यू सो मच मैम. मेरा नाम हरीश कुमार है और मैं मनोविज्ञान से PhD कर रहा हूँ. तो मेरी सरकार से ये डिमांड है कि जो दिव्यांगजनों के सशक्तिकरण के लिए उनको स्पेशल एजुकेशन की जो सुविधा ज़्यादा मुहैया कराई जाए और जो लिफ्ट की व्यवस्था है, जो रैंप की व्यवस्था है, वो जो दिव्यांगजनों के सशक्तिकरण के लिए उनको जो है बेहतर तरीके से उपलब्ध कराई जाए. और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो बजट है ना विकलांगजनों के उत्थान के लिए, उनको सशक्तिकरण के लिए उस पर जो है व्यय किया जाए.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Next, we have a research scholar with us. Sir, आप बताइए आपकी उम्मीद क्या है बजट से in terms of education?
Thank you, ma'am. Myself, Anwar Ahmed, and I am a research scholar at Law Faculty, Delhi University. मैम देखिए, हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं फंड एलोकेशन अकॉर्डिंग टू अवर GDP. तो हमारी GDP का जो अभी फंड एलोकेशन है एजुकेशन के लिए वो 4% है और NEP जो 2020 है उसके अकॉर्डिंग 6% होना चाहिए. तो जो गैप है 2% का, इसको गवर्नमेंट को फिल करना चाहिए, ये हम उम्मीद करते हैं, जिससे हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और क्वालिटी एजुकेशन और बढ़ेगी. और हम यही उम्मीद करेंगे गवर्नमेंट से कि फ़ंड एलोकेशन बढ़ना चाहिए. और अभी जो क्वालिटी की हम बात कर रहे हैं, एजुकेशन की क्वालिटी उस लेवल तक नहीं पहुंची है. जो नेक की यहाँ टीम आती है, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में भी हम देखते हैं, तो हमारा डिग्रेडेशन हो रहा है एजुकेशन का. तो इसको लेकर गवर्नमेंट को थोड़ा कॉन्शियस होना चाहिए, फ़ंड एलोकेशन इसको बढ़ाना चाहिए और यही हम गवर्नमेंट से उम्मीद करेंगे आने वाले बजट में.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Next, we have a member of the Executive Council of Delhi University. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, आप बताइए आपकी उम्मीद क्या है गवर्नमेंट से?
Myself, Aman Kumar. From government, we demand grant in aid, not HIFA loan. Government is providing HIFA loan. We want grant in aid. We have implemented NEP, 4-year graduation course. For that, there should be a vision for infrastructure expansion, teachers expansion, more teachers. They have not given any aid. In OBC expansion, we got a lot of money from the government and teaching post also. Till now, in NEP as well as EWS expansion, we have not got any grant in aid, nor any allocation of post. Now we need infrastructures. Till date, 3-year graduation course was going on. Now 4 years course will go, where the students will going to sit. Government should increase the budget of education, not HIFA loan. By HIFA loan, education will be the costlier and the poor student will not be able to cope up with it. In greater autonomy, we have introduced 2 courses with 2 lakh fees. It's very difficult for a poor student to enroll it. As the Delhi University is 100-year-old university, we want grant in aid and government should definitely increase the grant and avoid the HIFA loan.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. There you have it, a chorus of voices and from increased funding to vocational training and accessible education. The message is clear that the government must focus on investing in the future of education and youth in the country.
All right, so that's one critical area that we'll watch out for, how much is spent on education. But meanwhile, we've got a special program lined up for you on the 25th of January, where you can speak directly to the experts. And in fact, if you've got questions about how to position your portfolio ahead of that big event, then you should send your questions to us. Video questions is what we're seeking. So hold up the camera on your phone, record a short message for our experts and send it to that number that you see on your screen right now. Incidentally, it is the same number that we use on this show, Ask Profit, where we take so many of your questions and so many of you writing in. I'd encourage some of you to also send us a video. It would be amazing to put a face to the names that we see on the laptop screen every day. Now, it is time, of course, to start with Ask Profit in earnest. And let me also mark the equity markets at the start. And you had a whole host of positive factors that came through overnight. Among them, of course, the CPI number in the US, the core CPI number coming in cooler than anticipated, and that had a bearing on bond markets, on the currency markets, as well as on equity markets globally. And that positivity continues to hold as things stand right now, about an hour and a half in. The broader markets, in fact, looking better than the benchmark index at the high point of the day for both the mid cap as well as the small cap index. And there are a lot of individual names that have been reacting very sharply to earnings and to brokerage notes that have come through. I'm sure we will speak about quite a few of them. But for now, let me introduce our experts for the day. We've got Shahina Mukaddam, who is independent market expert, as well as Kush Bora, who is the founder of kushbora.com. Thank you so much to the both of you for taking the time, as always, and pleasure having you on the program. Kush, before we go to anything else, I'm curious about what you're making of the move over the last 1.5 hours. We were anticipating there to be some bouts of short covering take place because of the kind of shift that you've seen over the last few days. And of course, today is also expiry. What are the latest trends that you're seeing?
Hi, Alex. Hi, Shaina. Good morning to all the viewers. Well, I think the market behavior is fairly in line. As you rightly pointed out, I think it was 2, maybe 3 days ago when we discussed that, there is a stark possibility of, a rebound trade, of a short covering trade. While these things are difficult to time, at least, the trajectory, I'm glad that we got the trajectory right at least. So this trend perhaps, could continue for some time. And the reason I say that the markets are behaving in line with expectations is because yesterday on the closing show, we spoke of the 23,200 call and put, seeing quite a bit of, open interest build up, suggesting that the straddle is at play. So you did see, the GIFT Nifty suggesting a 150 point bump up. Then you did see the markets go down to perhaps as, low as, or maybe, they had this 30 points of gain, at one point in time. But again, we're back to that trajectory where the 23,200 straddle is acting up. There's a stark possibility that the index might perhaps expire, in this range, today being the weekly options expiry contract. I'm still a little more bullish on the Bank Nifty as I have been for the last 2-3 sessions, purely because the selling on this one has been rather stark, and so will the recovery be. So 49,500 was my second target. We're very close to that. I think from here on, it's not a bad idea to book some profits in Bank Nifty and then see if, on the higher side, if 50,000 is taken out, perhaps we might see some more covering. But right now, Nifty, I'm expecting to be a little flat, and Bank Nifty too, not a bad idea to book some profits on the long side if you've got a position over the last 2-3 days.
Expectations are flat and Bank Nifty book profits, the view coming in from Kush. Moving on to the first caller of the day, Vipul Seth from Ahmedabad is calling in. Vipul, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Good morning. At last I was able to connect it. Good morning to all.
Good morning.
I am holding 100 shares of R System International at the average price of 482.
Okay.
I can able to hold for more than 1 year.
Okay.
So what will be the prospect, or can I add more at the price of around 440?
Okay. Vipul, when you bought R Systems, what was the thinking behind it? Because I believe it is an artificial intelligence.
It's a small, yes, small and mid-cap size company. So I think its chance of growth is good.
All right. All right. Shahina, I'll come to you on this one. Do you have any view on R Systems International?
It is actually showing a bounce, I think, but it will consolidate in my view for some more time. It's a small cap with about 5,000 crores of market cap. It is doing pretty well in terms of numbers. Valuations also reasonable. I wouldn't say it is cheap. I would say you could hold with a stop loss of close to about 420. And if you're lucky, you could see a price of about 500 over the next maybe couple of months.
Hold on R Systems right now. The next question is from Ashar. I'm not sure where he's tuning in from, but he's asking a question that perhaps a lot of people have. It's on Adani Green, which he's bought at levels of 1,190. The stock is currently trading at 1,082 and a sharp move upwards for Adani Green as well as the rest of the Adani group of stocks. The standard disclaimer at the start itself, this is NDTV Profit, part of the NDTV group, which is owned by the Adani group. But the latest update is seemingly a sentimental one. China has to do with Hindenburg Research announcing that it's going to shut shop. So that overhang seems to be going away. What would you say about Adani Green specifically, though? Would you hold on to this?
Well, the sentiment has turned positive from being very negative in the last couple of months. So to that extent, not only the market seeing a bounce, but I think even Adani Green is seeing a rebound. So it is definitely a hold from here. But if you're a shorter or medium-term investor, I think you could take some profits once the bounce is, once you see a upside of close to maybe another, say, 200, 300 rupees. Because in terms of pure valuations, I think in the overall Adani group, this is one of the expensive stocks. If I was to look for an Adani stock, I would prefer an Adani port at current level, where the valuations are much more attractive.
Okay, so 3.3% up on ports as well. Till what point would you be a buyer, and what are the upside potential that you're seeing, Shaina, on the stock, Adani Ports?
I would be a buyer even at current levels. Of course, you need to keep a stop loss of close to about 1,000 rupees, and then you can see a target of about 1,350 or 1,400.
Okay, so quite a significant upside potential highlighted by Shahina. Shankar is calling us from Chennai. Shankar, good morning to you. And are you a repeat caller? I will know perhaps when I hear your voice. Good morning to you. What do you want to know?
Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. 2 months back, I bought Beras Software at the rate of 630 rupees.
Okay.
But regular previously, I also 2 to 3 times I purchased 250 and booked 400. Then only 550 and booked 700. But third time I bought 2 months back at the rate of 630 rupees. My question is, I am ready to hold 1 year. Any chance to
recover your cost? Recover your cost and see profit, right? I got it. So since it's a 1 year time frame, Shankar, let me go across to Kush on this one. Kush, 530, so a little bit of ground to make up on this one. What is the strategy that you would employ here?
I would hold with a stop loss close to the 515 mark. That's the medium term support zone. Now, let me be completely honest on this one. Among the IT pack, this is one of the underperformers, and hence, the conviction on this one is fairly low. Now, the reason I'm suggesting a hold and not an exit is because this is the second time, in the last 3 months that the stock is, tested this 520, 525 mark and attempting a rebound. And now with, either the tide turning for IT stocks, we'll need to wait and watch, what kind of policies does Mr. Trump, implement once he's, in the office. But if those things pan out, then this stock could see a very sharp catch-up rally, which could actually pull it up to 575 and 600 levels, also fairly close to his cost. So giving that, opportunity or giving that hope of, a rebound trade on Beras Soft, my suggestion would be to hold. Stop loss comes in at 515.
Stop loss at 515. It's a hold for now on Beras Soft. But for the entire IT pack, in fact, keep one eye on the Trump presidency that kicks in next week. 20th of Jan is the date that you should keep on your calendar. As of now, though, LTTS doing particularly well. You have the rest of the pack also that's doing well. Of course, Infosys results later today also, something that you should keep on your radar. We will end up speaking about it later in the day, of course, and also at the start tomorrow. We've got the next question on APL Apollo, which was bought by our viewer, Sudha, who has bought at levels of 1,567. She's got 17 shares and she's seeing quite a bit of a profit. No, this is not. This is incorrect. Okay, so I think that she's bought at levels of 1,567. So perhaps we should check that. The stock is currently lower than the buy price, and she's looking for whether or not to hold, sell, or buy additionally right now. I will go to you on the fundamentals on this one. Shahina, would you hold on to this? We're talking about a steel products manufacturer. Would you hold on?
Well, I think if you're a short-term investor, it looks very difficult to see a very good return from here. But if you're a longer-term investor, I think numbers should look better. We are pretty disappointing last quarter numbers, so we'll have to see how this quarter turns out. But I would say that you could hold. She could hold with a stop loss and hold with a stop loss for a medium-term target of about 2,600. But I don't see too much upside from here.
Not too much upside. It is in fact trading higher than valuation metrics that it has garnered over the past 3 years. So certainly something to watch out for. Nitin is calling us from Bengaluru. Nitin, good morning. How can we help you today?
Yes, hello. Hi, sir. So I just have a view on Edelweiss Financial Services.
Edelweiss Financial Services. Could you speak up, please?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes. I have bought at 110, sir. 110, 1,500 shares. So I wanted to know this valuation and what is the upcoming target for 1 year.
And you've got a considerable amount of shares that you've bought, 2,000 shares. So you bought it for the long-term prospects, is it, Nitin?
Yes. One.
Sorry, is that 1 year plus?
Yeah.
Okay, we seem to be having a little bit of a problem with your line, Nitin, but I've gotten your question. I'm going to go across to Shaina on this one as well. 2,000 shares of Edelweiss Financial Services bought at levels of 110. Is it a hold for you? What are the prospects?
Yeah, it's a hold. Valuations are pretty attractive. It's about 2 times price to book. Market cap about 10,000 crores. I think it is very well placed in terms of the potential. Also, the management is putting in place a lot of restructuring measures to bring down the overall group debt, which is a very positive for Edelweiss Finance. So it's a hold from here. I think if he's holding for 6 months, which I would recommend, don't take short-term calls on this. You hold it for about 6 months to a year. And I believe you can see a decent bounce from here. Look for a price of about 140 over a 1 year period. But I'm not giving a short-term target. Short-term, it could be weak.
Could be weak in the near term. But 140 is the upside potential is what Shaina is saying, so hold. Others from Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh is written in asking about Vari Energies, which he has bought at a price of 2,700. The stock is currently trading just below that. So he's basically looking for a technical view on the stock, and his time frame is 1 to 2 years. Fundamental and technical is sought, but I'm going to go to Kush on the technicals of this one. Not too far from the current price, the buy price. What are the prospects on the charts?
So fairly limited data, Alex. But if I drill down on a smaller time frame, then there is a recovery underway. We are seeing very strong positive divergences on this one, and hence the recovery from a very short term perspective. While he's asked the query for a year to year and 2 years kind of a time frame, on a fairly shorter time frame, I think the stock is seeing a bit of a recovery which is underway. On the upside, I'm looking at targets of 28.25 and 3,000, and the stop loss for this comes in about 25.50.
Right, so that's the view coming in on Vari Energies. Moving on to the next caller, Sunil Chahal from Haryana is calling in. Sunil, very good morning to you. कैसे मदद करें आपकी?
नमस्कार मैम.
नमस्कार.
एलेक्स जी को नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सर.
मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन पीबी फिनटेक पे है. मैंने जब से आईपीओ आया तब से मैं इस पे इन्वेस्टेड हूँ.
ठीक है.
मैं एक स्टैगर्ड मैनर में इसको परचेज कर रहा हूँ. तो अभी मेरे पास 300 शेयर्स हैं. एवरेज प्राइस ऑफ 946.
ठीक है.
तो एक्चुअली ये मेरा कोर पोर्टफोलियो का पार्ट है. तो मैं इसको कितना टाइम तक 5-6 या कितना ईयर तक उसको होल्ड करना सही रहेगा और उसका फंडामेंटल व्यू क्या रहेगा?
ठीक है. सुनील, पहले तो आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई, क्योंकि आप 2.6 लाख के प्रॉफिट पे बैठे हैं. तो यू एंटर्ड एट द राइट लेवल्स, जो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है स्टॉक को एंटर करने के लिए. दूसरा, मैं अपने गेस्ट से पूछूं उसके पहले, आपका थिंकिंग क्या था पीबी फिनटेक को बाय करने से पहले?
मैम ये एक्चुअली मैंने इनके जो फाउंडर हैं उसको बार बार इंटरव्यू को सुना है उनके. जो इनका पहले इन्होंने फॉरेन में कहीं पे स्टार्ट किया था बिजनेस ये, तो वहाँ पे सक्सेस नहीं हुआ था. तो इंडिया में पेनिट्रेशन भी काफी लो है इंश्योरेंस का.
बराबर.
और ये एक वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड था. जैसे जोमेटो है, स्विगी है, सही वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड था. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई इन्वेस्टेड.
करेक्ट. आई थिंक सुनील, यू हैव डन योर रिसर्च वेरी वेल. शाइना, आई विल कम टू यू. PB Fintech is the counter. If you can give the answer also in Hindi, it would be really nice and it will be appreciated.
ये बहुत अच्छा स्टॉक है अगर आप लॉन्ग टर्म, जैसे इन्होंने कहा कि लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए होल्ड करना चाहते हैं। हमने जैसे देखा FY24 में, मतलब लास्ट ईयर वो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी में कन्वर्ट हो गए फ्रॉम लॉसेस, तो वहां पर प्रॉफिट्स भी आ रहे हैं अभी। और उनका जो बिजनेस है, आई थिंक यहाँ से जैसे अंडर पेनिट्रेटेड है ओवरऑल इंश्योरेंस प्लेटफॉर्म कंपनी है, फ्यूचर है वेरी गुड फॉर दिस कंपनी, वैल्यूएशंस भी काफी इट इज अट्रैक्टिव। तो आई थिंक अगर आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हैं तो डेफिनेटली आप कंटिन्यू टू होल्ड करें। आपका अच्छा प्रॉफिट बन रहा है तो थोड़ा आप अगर 1600 का अगर आप स्टॉप लॉस होल्ड करें तो वो बेहतर रहेगा। एंड यू कैन होल्ड इट फॉर द लॉन्ग टर्म। 2200 का टारगेट ओवर 1 ईयर अगर आप होल्डिंग रखते हैं तो यू कैन लुक फॉर अ गुड रिटर्न।
Okay, so and he's pointed out that it is in his long-term core portfolio as well. Sunil, call करने के लिए धन्यवाद and always a pleasure speaking with you. We've got the next question from Girish, who says that he's a long-term investor who's tuning in from Hyderabad, and he's got TVS Holdings, which he has bought at levels of 7,000, and he points out that he held it when it went all the way up to the high point, and it has given up ground since that point. It is up in trade today by about 0.9% and trading above 9,600. So the question is, should he book some profits at this juncture or should he hold on for the long term? Kush, on the charts, would you hold on?
Not quite, Alex. While the stock has actually already seen a meaningful correction from 15,000 levels all the way down up till 9,600 that it is at currently. If you believe the gap theory from the technical analysis, then there is a gap around the 9,200 mark. There's a stark possibility that this gap might be filled, suggesting that there could be some more room on the downside. While the volumes on the downside are flattening out or maybe even thinning a bit, they're still considerable enough to not call it a bottom yet. So there's a possibility that the stock might actually slip a little further. If he's been holding on to this one for such a long time, not a bad idea to book partially and maybe hold on to the rest. And for that, the positional stop actually comes in at 8,000. So I will book partially now and then hold the rest with a stop loss of 8,000.
Hold with a stop loss of 8,000 is the view coming in on TVS Holdings. CESC is the next counter. Deepak Daga from Rajasthan wants to know whether he should buy more, hold or sell the current holding. He is holding 22,500 shares, bought at an average price of 128. The stock is currently trading at 150. So he's sitting on a significant profit of over 5 lakh rupees. Kush, I'll stick with you for this one. CESC is the counter. Nuvama has maintained a hold and they've given a target price of 175, which they've cut from 190 earlier. What is the kind of target price and stop loss that you would give? And he's sitting on a 5 lakh profit. Do you suggest some profit booking?
So I would actually suggest taking money off the table, booking profits, because the stock's already corrected from 200 levels. Even though there is an attempt at base formation, the volumes on the downside are pretty high. Stock trading below the 200-day moving average under a lot of pressure. Even when the markets have recovered, for example, today, the stock isn't seeing any meaningful kind of a recovery, and that's a worrying time. So for me, this is an exit. The good thing is that despite the kind of cuts that the stock has already seen from the high point, he is still in a pretty neat profit. So not a bad idea to take money off the table. CESC at least momentarily exit. He might want to consider again, around the 140 mark. Maybe he could consider a re-entry. But at least for now, this is an exit or a book profit for him.
Okay, book profit on CESC is a call from Kush based on the charts. We have a lot more questions that are already lined up, but we have to slip into a very quick commercial break. We'll be back on the other side to take all of those questions. So do stay tuned.
Everyone, with Budget 2025 right around the corner, there is one question on everyone's mind. Will this finally be the year salaried individuals get some much needed income tax relief? Let's dive into the story behind the tax slabs, the rising cost of living, and why economists are calling for reforms. First things first, Budget Day is set for 1st February 2025. expectations are sky high, especially among salaried individuals. But before we talk about predictions, let's rewind a bit. The first big moment for taxpayers was back in the Union Budget for FY 2020-21. That's when the government introduced an optional personal income tax regime with lower tax rates but fewer deductions. Remember that? It shook things up for taxpayers who had to choose between the old system with deductions or the new simplified one. Fast forward to 2023 budget, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman made some tweaks to the new tax regime, expanding 2 income tax slabs and increasing the standard deduction from 50,000 to 75,000. Sounds promising, right? But here's the thing. It didn't touch the old regime at all. So what exactly is standard deduction and why does it matter so much? Think of it as a fixed amount you can subtract from your taxable salary. It's meant to help with everyday work-related expenses. While it's been raised over the years, the question is it enough to combat the rising costs we're all facing today? Did you know the standard deduction was actually scrapped back in 2005, but it made a comeback in 2018 at 40,000, and since then it has been climbing steadily. Now economists have a big ask for budget 2025. Cut income tax rates. Why? Lower taxes means more disposable income in your pocket. That extra cash could boost savings, increase spending on essentials, and even revive demand in sectors hit by sluggish consumption. Sounds like a win-win, right? In fact, during a recent pre-budget meeting, experts suggested exactly this to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, arguing that it's time to ease the financial burden on taxpayers while stimulating economic growth. As per an NDTV Profit exclusive, the upcoming Union Budget could bring significant income tax relief with potential modifications to the new tax regime. Sources suggest the government is considering adjusting personal income tax slabs and reducing tax rates for incomes up to Rs 10 lakh to boost disposable income. The new tax regime, which restricts exemptions and offers fewer deductions, is already the default option for taxpayers, with 72% having shifted to it. Notably, the July budget increased the standard deduction to 75,000 and revised both tax slabs and rates. Under the new structure, income up to 3 lakh is tax-free with progressive rates ranging from 5% to 30% for higher income tax brackets. As Budget 2025 nears, there are growing expectations for reforms aimed at easing tax compliance, particularly for NRIs, that is non-resident Indians. Here are the key suggestions highlighted by Deloitte. Firstly, simplifying the tedious process for property transactions involving NRIs. Currently, buyers must withhold tax at a higher rate, obtain a TAN and file ETDS returns. Introducing a challan cum statement system similar to residential transactions could streamline the process and reduce the burden on buyers. Second, enabling tax payments from overseas bank accounts. Presently, tax payments must be made through Indian banks, making it cumbersome. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, a show which is directed towards answering all your stock-related queries, whether they're fundamental or technical. You can pick up a call and call us on the number that will be flashing on your screen, or you can either WhatsApp us. Moving on to the next query for the day, Durga Prasad from Hyderabad has a query on Tata Steel. He's bought 1161 shares at a price of 178.5, and he's sitting on a loss of almost 60,000 rupees. And he wants a long-term view on Tata Steel as a counter. Shahina, I'll come to you on this one. How are you viewing Tata Steel?
Well, I think Tata Steel, in fact, all metals, we need to really wait to see what sort of tariff policy the new Trump government will bring in. because it will depend on how China responds to the tariffs, whether they start dumping steel across ex US across the world and impacting the overall steel prices. And also then we have to see what response the Indian government will do in terms of protection, in terms of taxes for imports. So there's a lot of ifs and buts. I would say as of now it is neutral. I would exit.
All right. Vavivel is calling us from Chennai. Vavivel, thanks so much for calling us. And how can we help you this morning?
Yeah, good morning to all. I have purchased Sanofi Pharma at a price of 4,500 rupees. And after that, there was a demerger of Sanofi Healthcare.
Right.
Now, I'd like to know the fundamental view on these two stocks. I'm a long-term investor. And so I seek your advice.
Okay. So the buy price is 4,500. You're a long-term investor. How long are you comfortable holding this for?
2 to 3 years.
Okay. I'm coming back to you, Shaina, on the fundamentals then. Would you hold on to this?
See, as of now, it does look like it's a small cap pharma. Not small cap, I would say a relatively smaller pharma company. I would say that at current levels, you could hold. The balance sheet is pretty strong. They have got a decent product portfolio pipeline. So I would hold for a bounce.
All right. Hold for a bounce, the view coming in on Sanofi India. Moving on to the next counter. Yes Bank is the counter. Prakash from Chennai has written a detailed query. He's holding Yes Bank 1100 shares, bought at 200 a piece, and he's been holding it over 5 to 6 years, and he's sitting on a 90% loss. So he's sitting on a loss of 2 lakh rupees, and this is less than 5% of my portfolio is what he's saying. His question is it better to book loss and invest the small amount in some other stock, or wait for Yes Bank to recover? And if switch to a better stock, what could be a better option? Kush, I'll come to you for this one. How are the technicals looking for Yes Bank? Should he exit or wait for some recovery?
Yes Bank has been an exit for a while now on my list and continues to remain. So what you're seeing as a bounce in the last 2 sessions from 17 odd to 18.5 is merely a recovery from oversold territories. Now, while this leg might take the stock to about 20 odd, this is way off from his buying price, right? If he wants to look for an alternative from the small cap space or the mid cap space in the banking names, then I think he could consider a Bank of Maharashtra. The stocks actually had a fair bit of volatile moves over the past few sessions, but there seems to be a base formation underway. 47, 48 is a good strong support zone on Maharashtra Bank. The stock could recover. I'm not sure if he'll make 10x to come to the profits for this particular position, but that stock certainly seems on a stronger footing than Yes Bank.
All right, Bank of Maharashtra, and of course this entire pack in the PSU banking space should be watched out for in light of what could potentially be announced in the budget. We discussed that in the morning as well. It's a curious question coming in from Akhilesh Kumar, who's writing in from Patna in Bihar, and I'm hopeful that Shahina has some view on this. Dynacons Systems and Solutions. I was looking up the website. DSSL is the counter on the NSE. It's currently trading at 1,358. It's a small company with a market capitalization of about 1,728. Now, here's the interesting thing, Shahina. He's bought it 25 paise per share in 2002. He's got 1,000 shares, so his acquisition cost was 25 and his gains are 13.5 lakhs. Should he hold or should he sell?
Well, I was just looking at the numbers briefly, and they seem to be doing pretty well, actually. So balance sheet is also pretty strong. It's a small company, as you mentioned, but based on the pure numbers and it's in IT systems. So I would say you could hold at current levels. So you can hold, and of course, since his buying price is so good, I would suggest that he continues to hold. And based on whatever numbers we have, it looks like it could go to somewhere close to even 1,500. So it's a hold.
I asked him what his thinking was when he bought it. I'm assuming, given the timeline, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Shahina, but this is around that .com bust when a lot of companies were, dropped in terms of value quite considerably, and maybe this was available at that time.
Yeah, maybe. I really don't know. I just looked at the numbers briefly from here. But, you also have to be very careful. Keep a stop loss also, because in terms of holding, the promoters don't seem to be having too much of holding. So you need to be very careful with such stock. You keep a stop loss, and maybe 1,300 also would be a good stop loss, 1,250, and hold for the upside. There still seems to be buying. That's why I'm saying hold.
Right, so hold is the view coming in on Dynacons system, but remain cautious is also the view. Moving on to the next caller, Natarajan from Chennai is calling in. Natarajan, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah. I am holding IOLCP share.
Okay.
At average price 597, 480 numbers for the last 3 years.
Okay.
And I am in a loss of more than 1 lakh rupees.
Right.
Whether to hold it, sell, or average it.
Okay. Natarajan, when you bought this, what was the thinking behind buying this? And do you want a technical view on this or a fundamental view?
Yeah, I want to have a technical view on the fundamental. I purchased it because that time the IOLCP was performing very well, and it was always moving on higher side.
Right. Okay, Shahina, I'll come to you on this one since he's been holding the shares for quite some time now. IOL Chemicals is the counter. What's the view?
I would say you hold at current levels because they have got a decent balance sheet. Valuations are not expensive. It is likely that it will bounce. It will give a bounce from here. You could keep a stop loss of about 375 and hold with a target of about 430.
We've got a next caller coming in from Hyderabad. Srinivas is calling us. Srinivas, good morning to you. Good morning. Just wondering whether you asked this question yesterday, or am I mistaken?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay, please go ahead.
So I brought this in the last big share, this stock, Everest Kanto.
Yes.
At 155.
Okay.
So I have around 1,800 shares.
Yes.
So I wanted to know this fundamental.
You want to know the fundamental. Okay.
I can hold or I should.
So you're familiar with what the company does, of course, because you bought it. And what drew you to the company, Srinivas?
Yeah. So this is the valuation I have looked, and also the balance sheet is looking good, and the management commentary is also saying that they're expanding the CNG and clean energy space.
Yeah. So for the benefit of people that are not familiar with what the company does, it is engaged in the manufacture of high pressure seamless gas cylinders along with other cylinders and equipments that are used in containing and storage of natural gas. What Srinivas was pointing out on the valuations seems to be more or less accurate because the stock has a price to earnings ratio, I think this is trailing 12 months, of 15.8 times, and the 3-year average is about 13.8. So it's not too far above that level. Shaina, do you concur? Are the valuations still attractive, and would you continue to hold?
Yeah, the valuations are pretty attractive. It's in a good business line also. Valuations are attractive. Small cap company, 1,800 crores of market cap, price to book about 1.6, and they've done pretty well if you saw the last quarter numbers in terms of profitable. The growth was very good. So and even on overall valuations, market cap turnover to market cap ratios also, it looks interesting. So it's a hold. It's a hold from here.
Hold is the view coming in on Everest Kanto. Moving on to the next query. It's on Kalyan Jewellers. The stock is tanking 5% even today. Alex, yesterday it was locked in lower circuit of 10%, but it did see some cool off in the last hour of trade, but closed 7% lower. Today it's down around almost 5% as we speak.
I also want to point out, because you did you and Hiral did all the work, right?
Yeah.
We did have a deep dive, which is one of the segments on our shows on Kalyan Jewellers, where my co-anchor has broken down all of the numbers. You should be able to find that available on our YouTube platform. So do check it out. Who asked this question?
So Thima Reddy I believe she's from Chennai, if I'm not wrong. And so she's bought Kalyan Jewellers at 718 and she's bought 187 shares. She wants to know whether she should wait or she should sell. The current stock price is 527. she's not mentioned whether she wants, a fundamental view or a technical view, but Kush, I'll come to you on this one. There was one point of time when, momentum traders were crazy about this stock, but it seems like, the stock is now seeing a lot of profit booking from those momentum traders. Is that the right reading?
Well, as they say, the higher they go, the harder they fall, right?
Yes.
Sometimes, that tends to happen. This stock sadly has been, a case in point. There were a lot of negative divergences on the daily and the weekly charts setting up, even when the momentum was building. So there were hints. But that said, the near-term structure of this stock has actually now gone, for a toss, where the stock is trading below the 200-day moving average for the second session in a row. Now, this 500 to 520 zone, 525 zone rather, is a bit of a support zone. So while it's a bit of a loss and, it might extend if the stock does go to 500 levels, my suggestion would be to hold on to this one with a stop loss around 500. The reason being that the selling that you're seeing, at least on the daily chart, is coming close to the oversold territories. While I don't see the stock going back to those 800 or 750 odd levels, in a V-shape kind of a way, but at least there could be some meaningful recovery where the stock would head to 575 and then 620 levels, thus reducing the loss, that she is making. So hold with a stop loss around 500 for, a recovery from the oversold territories.
My English teacher in school drilled a few things into my head, Kush, and what she said is that the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But my science teacher also taught me that the higher you go, the gravitational forces cause an acceleration, and the harder. So both are right, and the point is well taken. Infosys is the next. Oh no, we've got a question on Ireda, and Srinivas is calling us from Hyderabad. Srinivas, good morning to you, and how can we help you today?
Hi Alex, good morning.
Good morning.
I am having Ireda shares at the 230 APs. I want to know I am the long-term investor.
Okay.
I want to know the fundamentals as well as technicals. Can I add more this time?
So I have to choose one or the other, Srinivas. Which one would you pick, fundamental or technical?
Fundamental.
Fundamental. I'm glad, because you intend to hold for the long term. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Shaina, your opinion on this, because it saw a bit of a wobble because of, I believe there was one account that was problematic in the quarter gone by, and as a result of which you had provisions that shot up, you had asset quality that weakened, but it still holds that the prospects for loan growth exist.
Yes, but the numbers in December quarter are pretty good. Yeah. So I would say, and also, they've got a very good order book in terms of, the loan book is pretty good for them also. They're getting a lot of new, I would say the growth is also likely to be pretty good. Valuations is, I would say, slightly expensive. If it's 5.8 times price to book, it is on the expensive side. So I would say you could see a bit of consolidation because before you see a very big upside. So you could still hold at current levels. You hold with a stop loss of, close to about 190. And then you could look over a medium term, 1 year, like target I would give about close to about 230. But it is a very good long-term investment. So you could hold it for the longer term.
Longer term is the view coming on Ireda. The next question is on Jio Financial. Rajan from Bengaluru is holding 100 shares of Jio Financial, bought at 315 a piece. He's saying that the counter is highly volatile for the past few sessions. Is there a fundamental issue or are there any other concerns? I'll come to you on this one, Shaina. Media reports did suggest that Jio Finance is in talks with lenders for maiden debt sale. Are there any other reasons that are kind of triggering the stock?
Well, no, I think, it's just that if you just compare just pure valuations, yes, it is on the higher side compared to the other NBFCs. But, given the fact of the management quality as well as the growth potential, I would say if an investor has invested in it, you could just, keep your investments as is. And you can hold for the medium to longer term. Shorter term, you may see some time-wise correction, but otherwise, it's a good stock to hold for the long term.
Okay, Rajshekhar is writing to us from the UK, and it's pretty early in the day, so I'm going to take this question up front. He's got Infosys, which he has shorted. I do not know the details of the trade, but he's asking ahead of the Q3 results, anticipating that there might just be a disappointment. We don't know how that's going to pan out. But he's bet on a disappointment and he has shorted. From that perspective, Kush, what would you do with this trade? I don't have the details, but if you have gone short, what should you bear in mind?
Not even the price, Alex?
No, I don't have the details.
Okay, fair enough. Fair. So I don't think it's a bad trade. The caveat is that so far the numbers that have come, TCS has surprised on the positive side, HCL on the negative side. So I don't think this is such a bad trade because after the Trump rally, most of these stocks have fizzled out, especially TCS and Infosys did. What I would do is I would have a very strict stop loss around the 1975 to about 1990 zone, assuming that that's where he shorted at. If there is any bit of disappointment in the results, the first levels that you'll see tested is 1920, and once that is taken out, perhaps even an 1880. So it's not a bad trade entirely. There are some negative divergences also suggesting that there could be some pressure, but it's an event-based move, right, that we are anticipating. So not a bad idea. Keep a stop loss closer to the, or rather somewhere between the 1975 to 1990 zone, depending on your short sell price.
So that's the view coming in on Infosys. Moving on to the next caller, Nagraj from Hyderabad is calling in. Nagraj, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
And good morning to Boris also.
Yeah, he can hear you.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, my query is that right entry for the Biocon
At the current levels, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kush, his query is directed towards you straight away. Biocon is the counter. Is it the right time to enter?
Hi, Nagraj. First of all, very good morning to you. Biocon doesn't really make the cut for me when it comes to the pharma stocks. And right now, more so. We've already seen the stock recover quite smartly. But for the last 6-8 months, this 400 level has proven to be a bit of a resistance for the stock today. Also, you're seeing the stock test that level and perhaps see some cooling off from those levels. So my suggestion would be that if you want to buy Biocon from a momentum perspective, wait for 400, 405 levels to be crossed. I know it's on the higher side, but that's how the technical setup is. I would avoid buying right now because there is a chance that 400 could act as a resistance and the stock could slip again. If, however, 400 is taken out, 400, 405, that zone is taken out, the stock closes above that, you might see the supply pressure getting over and fresh round of buying coming in. So I would prefer to buy Biocon above the 400 mark and not at the current levels.
Incidentally, we also had Biocon on KYC, Know Your Company, which is the show that comes up next yesterday. And you should go onto YouTube and check out what Agam had to say about that, and of course the analyst that spoke to him. We've got Vasant Kumar who's calling us from Tamil Nadu, I believe. Vasant, good morning to you, and how can we help you today?
So I am holding a Shanthi Gears nearly 1,000 shares, which I got it by primary market through rights and bonus.
Yes.
Average price is 15.
Wow.
So I want to know whether I have to hold or dispose it or I have to accumulate.
Okay, so I'm assuming that you've acquired this over a period of time, Vasant. What drew you to the company, Shanthi Gears?
Yes, ma'am. Nearly 15 years before primary market, I got some rights through my brother for holding. Then again, some accumulation, I got bonus shares also.
Got it.
So average price per share will be coming around 15 to 20 rupees only.
Yeah.
But past 10 days, it's a downtrend.
Yeah.
So whether I have to hold it or I have to dispose it or I have to accumulate.
That's a good question. I understand that if you'd like to hold this for the long term, right, Vasant?
That's okay.
No, I'm saying this is part of your long-term portfolio, right? I got your question. Yeah, okay. So Kush, essentially what he's worried about is the recent price movements, and he wants to know whether or not he should change his strategy based on that. He is willing to hold for the long term, as you just heard. So what should he do?
So the stock's actually seen some correction, but I'm not worried from a medium-term perspective. And clearly he's a long-term investor. I'm not worried because this is a level where the stock has taken support multiple times in the last year or so. This 475 to 460 zone. Even right now with this drop, the stock is seeing some positive divergences, suggesting that there could be an upside around the corner for the stock. So my suggestion would be continue to hold. From a medium-term perspective, the stop loss for this one actually comes in quite deep. It's at 425. So there is still some room on the downside before the structure actually gets a little weakish. right now the correction that you're seeing is more in line with markets than anything else. So continue to hold positional stop 425.
Continue to hold is the view coming in on Shanthi Gas. Moving on to the next query. He's okay. Do we have his name or not? Okay, we don't have his name, I believe, but he's from. She is from Kolkata. She's bought 4 shares of SBI Life, bought at 1385 a piece. She wants to know whether she should buy more from a longer term perspective. And she's studying the markets because she's saying that seeing HDFC Life's positive results today, SBI Life's results are pending today. So is it a good time to accumulate more or not? Shahina, is that the right approach?
Yeah, I would say so, because the numbers of HDFC Life were very positively surprising, where they showed the impact of the surrender value, which we were expecting to be close to about 5-6%, was very minuscule. So I think SBI Life also looks interesting because most of them had corrected a lot, in the last couple of months. So I would say it looks interesting to add SBI Life at current levels.
Okay, Harsh also pointing out that the implications of the surrender value regulations only to the extent of 10 basis points in the margins lower than expected. So that's certainly something to watch. It is time to hit the rapid fire segment. Kush, Shahina, you know what this means. I'm going to toss as many questions as possible at you over the next 2 minutes, and I encourage you to answer quickly. The first one is HCL Tech. It was beaten down heavily. Dilip from Chennai has bought at levels of 1,955. Is it a hold or an exit for a 2-month time frame? Kush?
Continue to hold. 1745 is the stop loss.
All right. First Source Solutions is the next counter. Is this the right time to enter? Is the question. Shahina, I'll come to you.
Yeah, he can enter. Buy.
Okay. Sale is the name of the counter. 3-month time horizon. Buy price is 116. This is a question from Rajkumar from Chennai. Would you hold? Kush?
Continue to hold. Stop loss on this one at 102.
Okay, Arun from Hyderabad is asking, RV analyst the counter. He's 100 stocks bought at 479 a piece. What should be the status? Should he hold or sell? Shahina, I'll come to you.
He can partly book profits.
Okay. ICICI Pru Life is the name of the counter. 775 is the buy price, and this is a question from Naman Deora. He's been holding since September of last year. He's wondering whether to book at this point. He's got a 6 to 12 month time frame. Kush, hold or exit?
Hold. The recent low of 630, that will act as a stop loss.
Alright, Bharti from Mumbai has a query on Polyplex. She's got 31 shares and she's sitting on a significant loss of over 50%. Please advise from long-term perspective. Shahina, Polyplex?
I would say she can exit.
Okay. Are we out of time? Okay. Kajal Gupta has got a question. She's got a question on IRB, in fact. Is this the right buy price for the stock? And Kush, what do you think? IRB Infra?
Alex, I'm not able to load the chat. I'm sorry.
Okay, Shahina, any view on IRB Infra? Is it a fresh buy?
I would say from current levels, if you want to buy, wait for a dip.
All right,
buy only or dip.
All right, Nalco is the next counter. Hold or sell if you have the charts back, Kush.
Nalco is a hold with a tight stop loss at 193.
Okay. That brings us to the end of this edition of the Rapid Fire, of course, and also Ask Profit. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to both of you. Kush, Shahina, thanks so much for joining in, as always, and for helping our viewers out. That brings us to the end of today's edition of Ask Profit, but we'll be back tomorrow, Friday, to take more of your questions. And in the meanwhile, do stay tuned. KYC is up next, and we've got an interesting one lined up. This is NDTV Profit.
Well, Budget 2025 is around the corner and Macquarie has come out with its budget estimates or expectations on each sector. The first sector is the banking space. They do not expect favorable treatment for deposits and possible capital infusion for PSU banks and insurance companies might take place. Moving on to the next sector, NBFCs is the counter. Credit guarantees similar to SMEs for MFI sector can be expected. In the insurance company space, that is the next sector to watch out for, no change in tax rates or any product or any corporate profit tax rate change can be expected in this budget of 2025. The next sector to watch out for will be cement and metals, where they are expecting announcement on import duties to restrict imports on certain metals and certain materials. Moving on to the auto space, outlay for PM E-Drive and PLI can be expected. Policy initiative to drive localization of key EV related parts can also be expected. The next sector in focus would be the consumption space. Mid to high single digit increase in cigarette taxes can be expected. The budget, interim budget which was announced last time did not have any tax rate change in cigarettes, which is why we did see an uptick in stocks like ITC and VST. But this time you could see mid to high single digit increase in cigarette taxes. Reduction in taxes for low middle class consumers could take place, which could boost consumption in the rural as well as the urban spaces. Moving on to the next space, jewelry is the space where no reversal of custom duty cut on gold will take place. In last budget, there was a custom duty cut announced on gold, silver as well as platinum. There will be no reversal on this as per Macquarie. Moving on to the next space, pharma and healthcare, potential support for higher R&D via tax reduction can take place, and PLI for anti-diabetic and weight loss medication could also be one of the factors that the budget might consider. And modest increase in allocation for Ayushman Bharat is something that Macquarie is expecting from the pharma and the healthcare space. Infra is the next space. Capex allocation for key ministries like railways, roadways, etc. Can be expected in this budget, and announcements around additional dedicated freight corridors can also be expected in this budget 2025. Defense is another area where initiatives to boost defense exports can be expected, and announcements around that will be expected, and initiatives fastening domestic defense equipment procurement could also be one of the things to watch out for in this particular budget. Lastly, in terms of power, green energy thrust to continue. Steps to promote initiatives across the value chain, that is to promote green energy, might also be seen during this budget. Oil and gas is the last counter where Macquarie expects that OMC's compensation for LPG under recoveries might be seen. So these are Macquarie's expectation on different sectors as to how budget may come out with different changes in different sectors and how it may impact these sectors.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What's the picture behind presentations and claims? Hello and welcome. This is KYC. Now in this show, we actually take up one single company every single day and we discuss the ins and outs of those companies. We talk about how things have panned out for the company in the past few years and what we can expect going forward. Well, the reason behind this is, well, we often have investors who